Yo, what's up, Libra? Welcome to your monthly forecast for the month of May 2018. Libra, a lot of important astrology happening this month. We've got a new moon that's going to happen in the middle of the month, and then we've also got Uranus, which is going to be changing signs in the middle of the month, and that's a pretty significant thing because Uranus does not change signs very often. And for you, this has to do with your shared resource situation, so I'm going to talk more about that later in the forecast. There's also a full moon that's going to happen at the end of the month. And then the sun is going to be in an area for you, Libra, throughout the month of May 2018. It has to do with your shared resource situation, it has to do with your joint financial ventures. It has to do with your sex life. It has to do with business contracts, deals, and negotiations. So there's a lot of stuff that falls under this area of the sky for you. And that's going to be a big focus for you. All the things that I just mentioned are going to be a bigger focus for you throughout the month of May 2018. The sun's going to shift on May 20th, and then it's going to move into an area that has to do with your spirituality. It has to do with faraway places and foreign cultures. And I'm not saying that all Libras are going to be going somewhere far away following May 20th, but somehow faraway places might factor into some of your lives. I don't know if maybe some of you know people who are in faraway places potentially, or somehow there's someone involved in your life potentially who's, potentially there from a place that's distant from where you're from. And those are very specific things. So, obviously that's not going to resonate for all Libras. For other Libras, this is more about your spiritual enlightenment. But those are the main themes for you, Libra, for the month of May 2018. Now I'm going to talk about some more specific major astrological events that are set to occur this month and what they mean for you. Right off the bat, on May 1st, Venus will aspect Saturn retrograding. So Venus is your ruler, and this implies that some of you might have some sort of attraction potentially to, somebody who is from a place who, potentially, like, think about where you're from and think about where, the person you're attracted to is from. You might come from totally different places, and there might even be places that are far away from each other. So, it's a pretty specific scenario. Obviously, not all Libras are going to experience that, but that is one thing that's coming through with this influence on May 1st. And, for others of you, you are attracted to someone who's from a cultural background that's different from yours, or it's vice versa, or, potentially a few of you have an attraction for someone who's a spiritual figure. So, potentially some of you are getting a little bit into spirituality. Now, also on May 1st, Saturn is in your area of, Saturn is going to be in this area for a while, but Saturn is in your area of home and family, and it is making this aspect to Venus. So, potentially there might be some instances that have to do with basically long-term restructuring regarding home life and family. So it's going to resonate differently for all of you. But, with Saturn being in this area, this is kind of like a gradual restructuring that's happening, and it's going to last until December 2020. So this is quite a process. There is some gradual change. There are some gradual changes that are happening in your home life and with your family. On May 6th, the sun will aspect Neptune. And this one's interesting because, I'm not saying all of you Libras have the opportunity to work from home, but if you do, then, maybe that's something that you'd want to take into consideration. Now, for others of you, this is a great day for your business partnerships. This is a great day for your work. For some of you, you might be sort of unrealistic about your work potentially. Like maybe there's just a situation that's happening in your work and you might be a little bit unrealistic about it. Potentially some of you, Neptune has to do with illusion, so potentially some of you might be, acting in a way that's sort of covert, or, there's a little bit of an illusion there. But, others of you, Neptune has to do with what you feel about something. It doesn't really match reality. So that is taking place a little bit. So, whatever you're feeling about your work, Libra, I'm not saying this is like definite for all of you, but, with the influence of Neptune there, it's like potentially you do feel you feel that things are a certain way in your work life, but potentially that's not reality at all. And the sun is in your area on this day. The sun is aspecting to Neptune. So, the sun is bringing warmth and vitality and success and positivity to your business partnerships. So there is a balance there. You do have a little bit of an illusory thing going on, but at the same time, the sun is, bringing some positivity to your business partnerships. Potentially for some of you, this might have to do with an investment or a contract of some sort. On May 11th, the Sun will aspect Pluto, which is retrograding. Now, this one has to do with positive connections in your home life and your shared resource situation. But, there's different sides to this aspect. I mean, you have the Sun there, which is like so positive and bright and optimistic. And then you have, on the other end of the spectrum, you have Pluto, which is retrograding in your sector of home and family. And that one's a little bit more in depth. And that's, it's the emotions are a little bit different there. So, this is a day where there's going to be a mix of both. It's like you might have moments that are bright and positive like the Sun, but then on the other end of the spectrum, there might be moments of, where you might just have to go a little bit more in depth. Potentially there might be a level of intensity for some of you, or, if it's not intensity, potentially this is something that's more profound. And these could be interactions that are happening in your shared resource situation. This could be happening in your home life. It's going to resonate differently for all of you. On May 15th, there's a new moon in this area of shared resources for you. So, if you're looking to create a union of some sort, potentially some of you might be thinking about, you want to combine, you want to get into a shared resource situation with somebody. Well, this is the ideal influence for that. So it's going to hit on May 15th, and the 6 months that follow the new moon that occurs on May 15th, potentially some of you are going to be, making more of a concrete union when it comes to sharing your resources with somebody in the 6 months that follow May 15th. And, it's not guaranteed for all of you, but this new moon is definitely indicative, and, it's definitely conducive for that type of thing. Now, for others of you, if that's not the case, potentially this could be the signal that, there might be some kind of new development in a business partnership that's coming down the pike in the 6 months that follow May 15th, or potentially this has to do, some of you, this has to do with your sex life potentially. So, potentially somebody might be coming into your life, and there's, this is a new sexual partner potentially for some of you. For others of you, maybe this has to do with a deal. This might have to do with some sort of contract, investment, or negotiation that might be coming down the pike, and that's going to happen in the 6 months that follow May 15th. Now, also on May 15th, this is a big one. Uranus does not change signs very often, and it's going to shift into your sector of shared resources on May 15th. I'm going to talk about how this planet's going to move through the sky, and then I'm going to talk about what it means astrologically. But on May 15th, it's going to shift into your area of shared resources, and then eventually it's going to start to retrograde on August 7th in the same area. It's going to retrograde so much that on November 6th, it's actually going to move back into your area of relationship, and then eventually it'll start to move forward again, and it'll move forward again so much that it's going to move forward again into your sector of shared resources, where it'll eventually be until April 26th, 2026. That's a long time. So, right now Uranus is just dipping its toes in this area of shared resources. It's going to try to get situated. It's got to retrograde and then go back. So, before it gets established in this area, but, once it gets established in your area of shared resources, it's going to be there till April 26th, 2026. This is going to bring some unpredictability to your shared resource situation. So if you share your resources with anybody, or, potentially this has to do with investments or business deals. Now, I mean, that can be good and it can be bad. It's like we don't like unpleasant surprises, but, that's not the case. I mean, sometimes it can pleasantly surprise you. Now, this is also about innovation. So this is going to make you very innovative when it comes to investments. This is going to make you, this makes you more futuristic. I mean, Uranus is the planet of the future, and this is all about technology too. So, potentially, however more you can integrate technology into your business partnerships, into your shared resource situation, I mean, this is really going to benefit you. On May 18th, Mercury will positively aspect Saturn, which is retrograding. So, here's conversations that are happening in your shared resource situation for some of you. Mercury is going direct and Saturn's retrograding. Now, this has to do with more long-term stuff because Saturn's in the mix. So you'll see that on May 18th. On May 22nd, Jupiter retrograde is aspecting Chiron. Some of you might be a little bit too sensitive about a money matter potentially, and somehow maybe this has to do with your relationship. For others of you, this might be about, if it's not a romantic relationship, it might just be a one-on-one, some kind of one-on-one alliance that you have with somebody in the area of where you earn your money. You might be oversensitive about it. On May 26th, Venus will oppose Saturn, which is retrograding. They're on opposite ends of the sky. So Venus and Saturn. And this is like a work-life balance problem, Libra. So you have to, really have to, especially you're the sign of the scales. And like balance is so important. When your scales tip out of balance, you don't feel so good. So, this is about getting the balance right. On May 26th, you're going to notice that you're going to feel like a little bit pulled between what you're doing in your career and what you're doing in your home life. So it's important that you don't focus on one. You got to have both even, Libra. You know all about balance. You are the sign about that is all about balance. And on May 29th, there's a full moon. And this one has to do with your communication. So, some shifts in communication might be occurring. And I think this is really beneficial for you. So, get rid of whatever outdated ways of communicating. Bring a new form of communication in. I think you'll find that really benefits you. Thank you very much for watching this video, Libra. If you've enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe, share, and like. I'm on Instagram, Gregory Furlan Astrology, so make sure to follow me there. Thank you for watching. Have a great month, and I'll see you next time.